very beginning. So howdy, I'm Matt, I'm hitting start streaming now, and with any luck this will go live in a few moments time. Now those of you which are on the live version, if you can let me know if we are live or not, that'd be absolutely fantastic. You can do that in the live chat on the right hand side of the screen. Now you should just see a logo up on your screen at the moment. I will flick across to full screen because I think we have now gone live. So apologies for the start there. My name's Matt, welcome aboard. In tonight's live episode we are going to be looking at the Sonicmodell Mini AR Wing, which is a little 60cm wing, which is absolutely tiny and apparently goes like a bat out of hell. Should be really good fun. And by the way, you'll see me looking down there at the pad, just keeping an eye on the live chat, which is going along, which you can see on the right-hand side of your screen. So this is being recorded live, so we leave all screw-ups in. Also, for 100% clarity, this model was bought out of my own money from my own abuses. This was not a freebie for the review, and you'll certainly not see me holding it here going, it's my new favourite. Sorry, that's a comment about something else, but... Right. Anyway, with that said, let's get ourselves into this box. I did get it earlier, and you'll notice that there's a zoom camera down there, so we can get up close and personal with any of the details if we see fit. Now, I'll give you a quick heads up. Haggis FPV has already been posted this model in the Facebook group this afternoon, and he's been enabled to manage to cram in the F722 board and the Wing PDB as well. So those of you which don't know, there's a really cool setup which you can use for iNav, and he's been in the process of setting his up for iNav. So that is very, very curious. I don't think I'm going to be doing that with my one. I've got other models like the Nano Talon, for example, which are far more suited to have iNav in them. Although I won't discount having iNav on them because it will get the edge, or cut the edge, especially with winter coming up, the wind out of the model itself, because it is a small wing and it is going to be skitty, and you'll see me here just looking for some tools to get in the box, which, let's face it, that is a good problem. First impressions, nice little box, seems to be well packed. That's always classed as happy days. Let's have a quick look, and I'm trying to keep up with your chat as well. Right, so you can see the chat going on down the right hand side of my screen. Let's get it open and take a look. We get a collection of bits in there, and that's it for the box. This model is made out of molded EPP, and right now, talking about price as well, you can buy it on the Banggood website for about 45 quid. Some people have bought theirs for about 40 quid. I think I paid 47 for mine, and checking again earlier today, it was on there for 45. So to put this model into perspective as we go through, and I'm actually, we need to pause for a moment so that you can see that on the top camera. Look how nice the molded foam is on there. That is a real full injection molded piece of molded EPP. That is quality part there. Talking about price, 45 quid-ish on the Banggood website. And I did look on the Hobby King website before we went live, and I did see how much the bonsai is. So many of you know the bonsai, corking little wing. It's available for $74 or £56 as a plug and play kit from the Hobby King website. So this model is definitely cheaper than that. And also, many of you know I wasn't that impressed with the new, not improved version of the bonsai. The ESC, for example, was absolutely awful. There's a separate video on that. So this is where this is the kind of territory which they're in. They're in bonsai territory because of the wingspan. Remember, the bonsai is actually EPP. It's not molded EPP. It's wire cut EPP. Now, this model does come with a collection of stickers. Frankly, I probably won't be using them, so we'll file those away straight away. It does come with a propeller in the box, and the reason why it comes with a propeller in the box is because it is a plug-and-play kit. So I do feel that I can do a like-for-like comparison to the bonsai, because the bonsai is the same width, similar foam, and is available in a plug-and-play kit. So this one is already winning when it comes to not only the foam construction and the ability to take it apart, which does mean that there's potentially spares available, but also it being molded EPP. So we're already 1 or 2 up there as well. And this is the bit which I think we're all after, is to take a look at the fuselage. So let me just get into the other bag, and we'll have a look at the fuselage as well. So howdy who's online with us live right now. I just saw Blackbird put a mention in there. It's an 1806 2400 kV motor. So just to put this into perspective, there's my hand, and you'll see up there on the top camera, it is a tiny little motor, to say the least. The one I've got 2 reservations so far, which are in my mind. Okay, number one is that because it's a pusher model, this motor might be, and because it's a wing, the motor might be really screamy. We are dealing with a 2400 kV motor. I'm used to the little 1806 motors being on like the Hornet FPV flying wing, and have been about 860 kV, 1860 kV, which is quite, well, semi-low, and great for 3 or 4S. And that is my reservation. If we, on 3S, I'm sure it's going to be well nippy, especially with a 50-45 propeller on the back. On 4S, I do have some big reservations that it might be very, very noisy and extremely screamy. So that is my only reservation. Well, one of my reservations. The other one is the size of the battery bay here, and I've got a great big long raft of great big raft of batteries here, and we'll take a look at those now. Before we just do that, it's worth just pointing out, just for your reference, that this is molded EPP foam. So those of you which don't know your foams, I'm sure many of you know, there's a collection of models of white foam. Okay, typically white foam, which RC models are made out of, is EPO foam. It's very soft to squeeze, and once it's kind of dented, it's dented. You can put it in hot water and it will come back a little bit. For example, the Mini Talon, for example, is made out of EPO, and generally speaking, all white models which you see, or RC models at least, it will be made out of EPO foam. Now, the difference between EPO foam and this foam, which is EPP, is that it tends to be an awful lot, well, just damn tougher. Normally what I would do in a unboxing like this, and you can look back to, say, the S800 wing boxings, is that I would smash this, the living daylights out of this, on the desk. And those who know, which have done this before, know I don't hold back, and I generally they will end up dents in the leading edge of the foam, just to make the point that this stuff is really, really tough. Now, I don't really want to do that because it is a plug and play kit. We've got servos in there already, and we've got this lovely little piece of leading edge material on the front. I don't want to damage that, so we'll try and keep this one as neat as possible. Quickly, just looking on the bottom of the wing itself, we can see that there is a glass fibre, or at least a carbon fibre strip along the leading edge of the wing. We've also got going across the back of the wing to make like an A-frame. We also, and again, really nice to see, is that in the surface itself, we also have a reinforced strengthening bar in there. And Haggis FPV also pointed out, and actually he's right, is that you don't, by the looks of it, you don't need to put in any up trim or reflex into the actual wing itself, because if you look at that above there on the top camera, and you'll see me looking over there to look at see what you're seeing, is that you'll see that on this rear edge is that we already have reflex built in there. So I would suspect when we go to set this one up on the receiver, just having it flush on the back should be absolutely fine. Now, as far as construction goes, it should be pretty straightforward. And again, I'm just here having a look in the box. We got a couple of nose cones. So what have we got here for nose cones? So we get 2 different nose cones. We get one nose cone which looks like, and I've got a collection of cameras here. So I've got a Runcam Swift, just a standard size FPV camera, and perfect. That has been definitely just made. I'll just pause for there so that you can see that has been made, literally made for an FPV, like your standard side camera. So I will use Runcam as a reference because all the other ones are using the same dimensions, okay? So yeah, full fit of Runcam in there. Now they've got another one nose section in here, which is nice to see, so that you get an options. I'm not particularly sure what kind of camera. Maybe it's that awful Eachine real cheap FPV camera, but on the bright side, it is in 2 pieces, so that would make molding one. So for example, one of my favorite cameras is the Runcam Mini Swift. Is that while that doesn't fit in the actual section in that foam itself, it would make it very, very easy for me to carve that out so that I could put that or fit it to any FPV camera I would like. So that is a positive sign, although we're missing the magnets off the back of there, and I didn't see or hear extra magnets land on the desk, so you might have to nip the magnets off the other piece. Staying with the fuselage, let's go and have a look inside. So yeah, again, really nice molded EPP foam. We've got some plywood on either side, and the biggie is that we'll lift up the lid. Cool beans. We're not going to get certain batteries in here, but it's not as small as I feared. Whoops, before we go and drop it. So let me just get me logged back in so I can get to your comments. Now, those of you may have already noticed that in here, you'll notice that you've got the little hex cutouts. And those hex cutouts are for the mounting points for a flight controller in there. And the most obvious thing which I'm thinking is that could you fit a flight controller in there and the PWB? And the answer is categorically yes, you could. So that is the big wing PWB. And that would go in there with very, very little issues at all. So that is actually quite promising. There is plenty of space in there. I will get the ruler out in a moment, so because I'm sure some of you want to know the dimensions on this. So we are approximately 3.5 inches wide, which is about 8.5 centimeters by depth. Is that I'm not going to go right up to nose, and of course these are rougher, about 11 centimeters, or in old money about 4.5 inches. Now, as far as depth goes, I think this is going to be the Achilles heel of this model, is that we really do not have that much in the way of depth for getting larger batteries in here. So I'm reckoning that you're going to be at a push. Let's get the ruler out on this one. Yeah, 2.5 centimeters deep, just to put it up there for perspective. So I'm using that inner edge as a reference because the lid needs to go in and sit down. And yeah, you are going to be somewhat compromised up to 2.5, maybe 3 centimeters for battery. So I've got a collection of batteries here, and we will see which ones will fit and which ones won't fit. Before we do that, I am just going to quickly see if we can get this thing to go together. And I am wondering, did I miss out something in the box? Because while we have a spar, which will go in, that sounds like carbon fibre, and a nice little metal joint just in there. I just noticed that in the wing, so that's positive. So to see that they haven't skimped on the tube which goes in there. Now I'm sure some of you could set this up as a detachable wing. Maybe you could put on a little screw threads up in there. I won't be doing that with mine. I will be gluing the wings on. But that said, that does, if the wings are separate, that does open potential to have spare parts. Maybe you ruin the fuselage, or because I know with the Nano Talon and some of the other models which Sonicmodell have put on Banggood specifically, is that you can buy spares. So that is quite promising. Well, hopefully that's what's going to happen. And don't forget, what was it with the Micro Sky Hunter? Technically, you could buy the parts cheaper than the actual model itself. So there's the actual wing itself, and we'll get to the batteries in just a mo. Let's have a quick pause for a moment and stick the lid on so you can have, and I can have, a good nose at this one. And obviously we would just glue the wings on. A little note here, when it comes to the wings, make sure you get one of those sanding pads, which I don't have there. Sand up all the surfaces first, and then you can, and then apply the glue. Of course, you could maybe, if those of you which want a really ultra portable model, although I would personally argue something this big is ultra portable as is that you could Velcro on the wings or make some tie downs. They would be very, very simple to do. Although, personally, like I said, it's only a 600mm wing. It is already on the very small side as it is. So I'll tell you what, up on the top camera, we'll have a look at the nose on the front. So just thinking aloud, it would have been quite nice to have a little plate sat in there on the front, although I'm guessing those 2 holes on the sides are for ventilation. Looking around on the top, we do have a little air vent on the top.
and that's corresponding exit hole as well. We've had models here before which have had lots of ventilation or simulated ventilation on the front of the model, but absolutely naffle in the rear of the model. So at least we got a hole here to get some air out of the back end. The wings, and again, that one's not playing ball at the moment. Yeah, they look really nice. We've got the plastic on the leading edges to help keep that leading edge clean. Servos are already pre-installed. One thing which I would say is that they have, and you'll see up here on the top camera, is that they have mounted the control horn and the push rod really quite far down on the control horn, and I don't know why that is. Maybe that's because they need extra torque, or maybe it's to dumb down the servo because such a small model with large movements is just going to be too skitty. Okay, especially remember, the faster you go, the less movement you need to cause a really big action. Nice little, I think it's glass fiber tie down or like pull fit cord on the top. The motor comes pre-installed. Now the ESC, remember what it said on the page, it's a 30 amp ESC with a 5 volt BEC which is rated to 2 amps, which is going to be perfectly fine for a tiny little model like this. And if you have a look at the bottom as well, everything's in and out of the way. They've got nice covering on here for the the control horn in there. Skid butts on the bottom too. Might want to put a bit of sellotape on the bottom there just to keep the model clean. Again, those of you which know me, we fly in a field of poo. So that was definitely suggested. And also, I'm assuming that's the centre of gravity because we've got 2 marks on either side of the wing, which you can I'll put the ruler there so it's just in front of there. There's 2 really obvious marks on the wing, which definitely help. And again, I think we had a model very recently, which was actually the Horizon Hobby V900, a model which cost me £175, and they could not be bothered to include the centre of gravity on the wings, which actually, those of you which have seen the Facebook group, caught me out, and I flew it tail heavy and I stuffed it in the ground. So yeah, a model which cost 50 quid less than 50 quid as a plug and play kit, compared to a model which cost £175. This one, the cheaper one, actually gets basic stuff right, and the other one, which has been around for years, hasn't. How frustrating is that? Hey ho. Right, moving on. We do also have the little winglets on the end as well. I'm sure they just need a little bit of glue on the end. You do get some instructions which are written in English, which is not Chinglish, and no offence for that one, but I'm sure we've all read the terrible manuals before, and they have been absolutely terrible. There is nothing really on there which we really need to concern ourselves with. So yeah, that's that sorted. Now I'm just going to pause for a moment and wait for your chat to catch up. And I'm also just going to wander over there a second to grab me a cup of coffee. So you'll have to excuse me a second while I do that. Now, by the way, let me know what you think of this model so far. I've done a lot of chatting now. No apologies, there's a lot to talk about. It's a little dinky wing. Something small and this size with a decent motor on the back is right up my street. And I know some of you, like Haggis FPV, will stick a, iNav in it and whatnot. And I can see the attraction for that. But for me, pure bareback, it's great. Smash it around the trees. The one thing which I must add, I've actually put it down here already and waiting, is a lost model alarm. This model is tiny. And over at one of our flying sites at the moment, we've got big, tall crops there at the moment. The farmer's got several fields of maize out. And this would just be gone in that maize if I stuffed it in. And for the sake, and I can't tout their usefulness and how much money these little things have saved me, for a cost of say $2 for one of these little lost model alarms, which you can buy probably even cheaper off eBay. I'll put links to Banggood in the video description after for you. Is that these really do save you money. They cost you money to begin with, but you've only got to save your model once, and they've paid for themselves sometimes 100 times over, you know. And so I always try my best to remember to put a lost model alarm in a model, because especially with something this small, you can see how small it is. That in a field of maize is just gone without some form of lost model alarm in there. Right, quickly moving to your chat, which you've been seeing on there. Let's have a quick look. Pumpkinhead says Matty loves his Reptile S670. That was such a disappointing model. Dang, that's probably a good explanation of how you could build a model, design a model, not actually put the model together, and then go on to sell it in retail. Didn't like that one as well. Good news, by the way, they have been, and apparently, obviously, I got rid of mine, and yeah, whatever. They have been and updated that version, because I don't know if you're about the Reptile S670, is that they had a fuselage which you couldn't actually fit a battery in, because they had a great big chunk of foam in there, and they made it detachable for no real reason at all, other than to make it detachable, which you wouldn't need on a tiny little model like this. So, yeah. Crazy on there. One Esteban says 800mm S800 Zoe HD Orbit or Fury. Can't comment on the Fury wing. I don't like the design where you have the carbon fibre bit in the middle. It kind of scares me, to be honest. And also it's very fragile. At least foam will bend, you know. So any style like the Fury is not for me. The Zoe HD Orbit wing is... Actually, it's here. It needs to find a new home. It's a very, very light model. And that poor little model, the Zoe HD wing, got completely... I bought it at exactly the same time as the Nano Talon came out. And of course, if you don't know, I really love my Nano Talon. And on the same day which we had the Maiden and the Nano Talon, we also had the Maiden and the Orbit. And it was kind of like, let's get the Orbit in the sky, do a quick video, and then let's go and fly the one which we really want to go and fly with, which is the Nano Talon. So, yeah, that one never really got much attention here. And the S800 is just a flying brick. Good luck trying to break one. I wrapped one in a tree about 100 miles an hour, and it still survived. Well, needed a bit of glue, but hey-ho. Les says, nice size to keep in the cart. Totally agree with you on that one. Blackbird one says it wants some colour on it. I agree with you on that one. Because what's going to happen with this one? I'll fly it to begin with, line of sight, and then it will turn into a sole pure FPV model. It did come with some stickers, but I've already stuck them in the bin. It does come with 2 different sets of stickers. It comes with some white stickers and some orange stickers. Stickers aren't my thing because they kind of fall off and I always think they're cheesy. So I preferred just like an au naturel or naked model. So it does come with 2 different types of stickers. If stickers are your thing, they are totally not my thing. And I've already filed them away. No apologies. That's just the way I like them. But if you did want to put stickers on there, it's your model. You can do what you like. Let's have a quick look on there. One Esteban says, I have the S800 V2, which is technically exactly the same as the V1. They just changed the colour of the foam. I love it. That thing is indestructible. Toughest plane I have ever had. Yes, that is probably the best testament to moulded EPP foam. It is tough as you like. Good luck breaking an S800. In fact, if you do, you should pat yourself on the back. It's just crazy. Moulded EPP is really, really good tough foam. And I still think back to a manufacturer's reaction when the S800 first came out. They couldn't believe that a moulded EPP model was going to come out for so little money. And of course, it turned out to be one of the most popular models ever created. Well, in recent times, as far as RC flying wings go, probably by a country mile, because they are just so good and so indestructible. They're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but robustness, 10 out of 10. Good luck trying to kill one. They are crazy. Gumphrey says, do you mean that it's mat proof, Joe? Yes, probably. I've got one here. It's great. I run it with an L9R on it, and I purposely fly it below. You can imagine what I do with it. And I've hit it many times, and it still looks as good as the first day I had it. And I've wrapped over it trees, bushes, branches, not crops at all. Yeah. It's still going now. Yeah, just an absolute beastie model. I really like moulded EPP. Anyway, can't sing the praises any more than that because it's moulded EPP. It is really tough stuff. And let's move on. Pumpkinhead says the Zoe HD white foam is utter rubbish. Now, I'll agree with you. On the Zoe HD wing is that what they've done to save weight is that the wings actually aren't solid foam. Instead, they've got great big voids inside the wing. So one smack of that model into the ground and the wing snapped in half. The Nano Talon is actually EPP. The white foam is actually molded EPP. It's just not as dense as what we are used to with, say, black molded EPP. I definitely think there is, when they put the black ink or whatever they put in the black EPP foam, generally speaking, this stuff seems to be more denser and tougher than the molded white EPP foam, which I've been and come across myself so far. Hopefully that would change and we'll get some nice white molded EPP models out there. But my experience so far, black molded EPP is the toughest stuff kicking around. Right, moving on. Batteries. Anthony Horgan, you've been and hit the nail on the head. And yes, as always, a big thumbs up to Andrew for the sign here in the background. And I really will get a video out on that one shortly. Right, moving on to the batteries, because that's the concern which I'm thinking here in the back of my head. And I will be putting, what will I do from my arrangement? I will have a D4R little receiver. Now, I must get asked like once a week, Matt, what receiver are you going to be using in this? And like even on the older videos, my personal preference is the D4R2 receiver. Now, I know for you quad guys, you're going to go, it's not as fast, it only pumps out PPM and things like that. Well, there's a newsflash for you. I'm using this for PWM, and this is perfectly fine, and they've proven themselves time and time again to be really, really good value for money because they hold their signal strength and they won't get blackouts on the opposite side of a hedge, for example, a field or two away. Okay, so that will be my receiver of choice. It will get mounted back in here somewhere. We are going to be struggling to get components in here. If I have the time, a more ideal location will be out here on the wing somewhere with the antennas out on one side. Like I said, if I've got time, that's where the receiver will end up. And again, there's a nice little channel in there for me to sort out the electronics. That's probably my preferred location for the wing, for the receiver, would be on the wing. Talking of preferred locations, again, I'm sure probably most of you will just set up your receiver. So that is the Eachine 526. TX526 little video transmitter, little switchable one, brilliant. I've got several of these, and I've not killed one yet. They are doing really, really well. And of course, you could either mount it up here on the top of the lid, so you can see up there on the top of the camera, maybe cable tie the antenna down there and then run the cables through the lid. That would be a plausible way of fitting the VTX. Those of you which are looking for a cleaner option, then you could perhaps put a hole here and then bring that through and then have the VTX mounted up underneath. And again, that would be kind of perfect position because the air coming in, and you'd end up with a sleeker looking model with just the antenna popping out the top. Or the other one would be to mount it here in the wing. Now, yeah, it would have to be there on the left wing for me. So I launch my models with my right hand. So I don't want the receiver right next to me. I want that on the opposite wing. You could also do, well, again, the best place for that would be out on the left wing, out of the way. Anyway, batteries, biggest curiosity. We'll see if we can fit this small one in here. Now, technically, some of you might argue that doesn't fit. You could be right. Now, unfortunately, this model does get a thumbs down for not being able to take a 5200 mAh 4S multi-star pack. The 5200 4S multi-star pack is the benchmark which all models should be marked by, because if you can fit one of those in there, you're probably going to have really, really good flight time. If you fit two of them in there, then you're on for happy days. So unfortunately, this model gets a thumbs down, because you cannot fit a 5200 4S multi-star 10C pack in that. So sad times, I'm afraid. And you think I'm joking? I'm not kidding you. 5200 4S packs are the way of the future, because you could just get so much flight time in them. They really are my gauge for stuff. Right, on a more serious note, standard 2200 3S. That will fit in there. Whether you'll get the lid down, that is a curiosity. Whether you hit CG is a whole different question. But we are going to see if we can fit that stupid great big battery in there or not, as the case. You'll get away. That fit in there. Right, I'm really curious if you're going to hit CG on this. This is going to be a little bit awkward because that wing wants to keep popping off. Have I got a bit of sellotape down here? Yes, I do. Right, this isn't going to be pretty, but it saves that wing falling off, and we'll find out whether this fits and whether we hit CG or not. So I'm just going to stick a bit of tape on there, on both wings, so that we can see if we hit the centre of gravity or not. Because just imagine the amount of flight time you would get with a 2200 3S pack in a tiny little ditty. No. In a ditty little model like this. That is just nuts. I've got my fingers on those two lines underneath, which we're assuming is the centre of gravity, because that kind of looks about where it should be. And are you ready for this? It's tipping forwards. If I put my fingers up underneath, you'll see what I mean. So I've got my fingers on those lines, even in front of those lines. I don't think I would suggest that to you, putting a 2200 3S pack in there, just because the amount of weight which you've now got, well, I've now got in this model, and that means that when you launch it, you're going to have to throw it really, really hard, and you need to, you just won't be able to slow down. Think of the extra, all the wing loading, which is the posh term for having too much weight in your model. The wing loading will be really, really high. So technically, you can fit a 2200 3S in this model, and it will be nose heavy by the looks of it. But I definitely wouldn't suggest it. While we're on the topic, let's go to a slightly more excessive extreme. This is the Nanotech 1800 4S. We've just had a bit of a win with that one, so if we can make it fit, we'll try and get the lid in there. So right, no, I'm just having to cram that in there, am I? I don't think the lid's going to fit on that one. Yeah, so with a bit of juggling, you might get that in there, and that's definitely nose heavy. So we need to knock some of these out of the way. A smaller little zippy 25C 3S, that would definitely fit. The Nanotech one, 1600 milliampere pack, that will definitely fit. Oh, I did have a Lion pack, that one definitely will not fit. However, on the topic of Lion batteries, I do have this 3250 milliampere Lion pack, which I made up myself, which I actually use in the Nano Talon, and you get an obscene amount of flight time on this one, and I am very, very curious if that will fit in here, which it will do by the looks of it. We'll have to do some jiggery pokery just to make sure everything fits in here, and I should actually, for just ease, I'm just going to unplug the ESC which has been provided, and will we get the get away. So those of you which are really looking for performance and longevity in the sky, endurance is the word I'm looking for, you could put a 4S Lion pack in here, and you would just have a quick look. If you are willing to muck around with a bit with the flight controller, you could definitely fit in 3 18650 batteries in that nose area, maybe 4. Okay, if you were willing to cut things around, but you are your 3S 18650 if you're going to put a flight controller in there. 4 if you're going to run, if you want the 4S Lion pack, which that would definitely fit in there, and those packs are about a similar weight as that one, and of course we're going to hit CG on there. Now I have some slightly smaller batteries in here. We've got a 850 4S. That will fit in there perfectly fine. And what I was actually worried about is that in the beginning when we first saw this model, and you'll see above, is that I thought that we were going to be limited width-ways for the battery, so that we weren't going to be able to fit one of the larger 2200 milliampere 3S packs, for example. You weren't going to be able to fit it in there. But actually, I'm wrong, and they will go in there lengthways. So that does open potential for lots and lots of batteries now. That's going to be a no-brainer. That's an 850 4S Nanotech in there. That sits down lovely, although we are technically tail heavy here as well, and we do have the little fins to fit on the end. But by the time we got a camera in the nose, you might have to add a little bit of lead in the nose, and that's the Nanotech 850 25 to 50C battery pack. we'll see that is very similar weight to the 3S version. That will fit in there. Now, the good old standard 1300 milliamp 3S battery pack. We'll stick that in there and see how that does. It fits without an issue. And again, a little bit tail heavy. Okay, so my biggest tip for you is that when you're trying out your batteries, make sure you check the center of gravity, because a tail heavy wing, yeah, it's only just out. It's only just a little bit out. But I think by the time you've got a camera in there and a VTX on the top, you're going to be very, very close to the center of gravity. And if you do need to add some weight to the nose, it will only be a little bit which you need to add just up in the very front. And I think you're going to be very, very close with a 1300 3S pack. And actually, I spoke to one of the guys over at Sonicmodell yesterday, and that's what he was suggesting. Go with a 1300 3S to begin with. And again, in reality, we are dealing with a 2400 kV motor on the back. So it's going to be quite raspy. It's going to be quite quick as is. Now, before we go, I'm going to put the 1500 to one side. I've got these Infinity 4S packs. They are absolutely crazy for dishing out the amps. Probably overkill for this one. And yeah, there's no chance in the Blue Monkeys you're going to get that in there. So the big, fat, high-performance 4S packs, you're not going to fit. The big, fat 3S packs, they'll probably more than likely fit in there. So there we go. That is the Mini AR Wing. Now, some of you may, well, a point which I've missed is that there was, and still is, a bigger brother to this one, which is about a 1 meter wingspan. And it's a little bit more dearer, and it has been out for a good couple of months now, and it does fly very, very well. The full size one does fly ridiculously fast. I did stick a what was it? A Sunny Sky X22 1250 kV motor, the motor which you stick on the back of the Mini Talon, on the back of that one, and it really did haul. We were easily up at about 100 miles an hour in a straight line. Really, really good fun. And then I went on to iNav it and muck around with it. And anyway, that one went on to find a new home a couple of months later. Anyway, there's me doing a lot of chit chat about this one. Kind of like it, if I'm honest. Now, before we go any further, I think it's worth pointing out that, as many of you know this, and have heard it me many, many times before, is that we always hold our final judgment on these models, which turn up here and look great when they come out of the box, until we actually get this model out on the flight line and get it in the sky, because we have had models here which have been very, very quick and very easy to build, and then have been absolute dogs in the sky. And then on the other hand, we've had models here which have taken, like the Clouds, for example, 16 hours or so to get to the flight line, because Matty laminated it and had to do a collection of setup, etc., etc. on it. And were absolute nightmares to build, and then turn out to be the biggest kittens in the sky. So that is why we always hold a final judgment on these models until we've chucked it, and then we get an idea of what it's going to fly like. But first impressions are good. Looks like decent components we've included. Again, I've not tested, verified any of these. What nice touch. Only just spotted that. Did you see that? They've been included a JST connector. One of the red JST connectors in with the power, so you don't have to faff around, or you could cut those off and connect those up for your FPV transmitter. That's a really nice touch, and that actually shows that they've spent somebody who actually is taking the time to actually build and fly the model has actually thought, actually, let's include a JST connector on there, and that's actually a nice touch. So we'll give it a thumbs up. So on one hand, it does let us down a bit by not being able to fit a 5200 4S pack on it. But we'll give them a thumbs up, or we'll come back level again because we've got a JST connector on the power line. Simple things like that do make a difference. Anyway, I was trying to get to your chat. So if you have any questions about the Mini AR Wing, please let me know now if you're on the live version. Of course, if you're watching the recorded version, don't forget you can ask any questions or comments down in the comment section underneath this video on YouTube. Right, quick look on that. Grimsey says that's a brick, Matt. No, it's a multi-star 1500 4S pack. They are brilliant. Let's have a look. Zop Power 1800 3S would fit easy. Totally agree with you, Lee. That would definitely fit in there. Let's have a quick look. Will the 1300 go in sideways in the nose? Good question. Good question. Who was that one? That was Blackbird. I think it will do, but we might have issues getting the lid down. Good magnets, because they've just stuck themselves to the ruler. So yeah, in the beginning I was a little bit worried about the batteries and whether we were going to get any of these in here. Obviously I'm disappointed about the Multi-Star 4S pack, but there's your answer to that one, Blackbird. It does fit, mate. It will fit in there sideways, so maybe that solves this like slight CG issue which we could have with it being a little bit light in the nose. And if Matty went on to change the motor at the back to maybe a 2205 motor on the back, being able to get the battery more forwards would definitely help. So good question, and the answer is yes. Brilliant. Let's go on to con. Callum, better late than never. Don't mention potatoes, Jazzy. Right, moving on. Let's have a quick look. Can it do Lion? Power, you may have just missed it. Well, you can do Lion. That's a 4S 18650 battery pack. That definitely does fit in the nose. You will hit CG. Those of you which are looking to run Lions in there with a flight controller, then you are going to be, I would suspect, in 3S territory. And the reason why I say suspect is, I tell you what, let's not muck around. We'll see if we can get them upright. If you excuse me a moment, I've got some random 18650 batteries here, and we'll see if we can make them fit in there. And what we got over here, I'll grab those that way. So if you taped up, okay, because if you're not using the connectors on the end, if we fit those in there, that is going to be really curious, because if you cut that out a little bit, and I'm wondering, and of course you could put then, yeah, you'd have to move the flight controller back a bit. Can you get the lid down on top of that? And the answer is really no. No. You might be able to make a custom 4S Lion pack to fit in here, but you'll see what I've just had to do, which was to do that to the battery to make them fit. Okay, so yeah, you could do 4S in a strange configuration, maybe even 5S if you brought that one forwards, but you're gonna have to have a look. It'll be a custom battery pack if you want to get a flight controller in there. For me, it would only really be 3S, and I've got plenty, as you've seen. There's a whole raft of other batteries which would just fit in there. So yeah, it will need some tinkering, but 4S a la carte, that'll fit in there. But if you want to stick a flight controller in there as well, you are going to be struggling, and it is going to be a little bit of a challenge. Now remember, it's only a 600mm wing, so you got to let it off. Although I'm still quite disappointed that won't fit. Anyway, moving on. Right, show the stickers. I've already filed the stickers. There's those of you which like stickers. Look, there's some white stickers. You could have. I was going to say something else. I'm going to go with camp. We'll go with camp. You could have stickers on your model. There you go. Those of you which are into stickers, it comes with stickers. There's some white ones. I thought they came in orange. I'm pretty sure it showed orange, or it might have been red, and it looked really off on there. And then there's some there's some other ones which will fit on the ends of the winglets themselves. And as you can tell, I'm spending great time and attention here making those fit, because I love stickers on my models a lot. And there are some red and white ones as well. Should we stick those on as well? We might as well carry on while we're here, haven't we? So you could have red and white ones on there, like so. I hope that's coming out on the camera above. There we go. So you get some of those. You get white ones. So you can have black and white, and then you get red and white. And it also comes with some Go Faster stripes. That may help with orientation. On a serious point, that may help with orientation, and you could fit those up underneath the wing. And there we go. Maybe over the seals. That way. Oh, that's maybe what I should have stuck on the bottom to stop the wings falling off earlier. There we go. They do fit on there. On a serious point, that might help with orientation. Again, and we're talking about a small little black model. When that gets in the sky, it's going to be a little bit tricky to work out which way up it is. So that might help those, or you could use that to attach the wings. You also get some other little Sonicmodell stickers on there, Sonic model stickers on there. Yeah, great. And you get Mini AR Wing stickers as well. Stickers are really not my thing, but there you go. There's some stickers on the Mini AR Wing. I will be peeling those off very, very shortly because they're just not my cup of tea. Right, let's have a quick look. Powen says, how efficient do you think it will be with 40 minutes on 3000 milliampere? So I'm going to assume that's 3000 milliampere 3S, okay, just for the practicality in there and for the amount of time which you're going to be flying in the sky. You would more than likely want a flight controller in the back of that as well. You want to change the motor on the back because 2400 kV is way too much. Because you'll just use up loads of amps because this model is meant to be sporty and fast for smashing in and around trees. That said, using the stock motor, well, same size motor, you would be limited sensibly to a 6-inch propeller. Now, if you put a bigger can on the back, remember you then have to add extra weight in the nose. And again, if you put a flight controller in there, then it's still extra, is even more extra weight towards the back of the model. Yeah. 6-inch propeller, I wouldn't suggest you go anything bigger than that. Maybe with the 1806, 1860 kV. Is it the 1806? It got 1800 kV, something like 1870 kV, something like that. You could run a 6-inch propeller on that one. And it really, again, it's like how long's a piece of string. It depends whether you razz it or just take it really, really calmly. And again, it depends on wind conditions, blah, blah, blah. Grab a thermal, you could be up there all day. You're going to get a decent amount out of that because the wing does look pretty efficient. If you take a nose on it, that one, it does look like it's going to be a quick, sporty model. So, I don't know. It really depends on much throttle action. I think you're going to be up there powering for quite a while. Half an hour at least if you really nurse the throttle. Maybe longer, okay? But that obviously depends on the total weight from the motor and what other setup, if you change the motor to something else, for example. So, yeah, very, very curious question. ET says, needs an F4 flight controller, Matt. No, it doesn't. You could, if you wanted to, put iNav in the back of it. That will fit. They've even got the holes in the back of it to stick a flight controller in there. Not going to be doing that with this one myself, just because for me, it's a smash in and around the trees one. Let's have a quick look. Callum says, are these things as durable as the S800 foam? Yes, Callum, it's the same moulded EPP. I've not smashed this one around on the desk because it's so small. I think it, well, the amount of abuse I gave the other parts is that, yeah, we might actually smack that one in half. But no, on a serious point, moulded EPP is pretty tough to say the least. And let's get these Go Faster stripe stickers off the model. Which might, on a serious point, it might help with orientation. Won't be using them myself on there. Right, 2280 kV. Thank you, BT. And stand off the mountain plants. Perfect quickie fix, late evening again. Right. No, ET, those stickers did come off very, very easily. One daft point, I don't think it's actually worth laminating this model. If you're going to put tape on this model, let's get those stupid stickers off and all, is that you might want to put just a little bit of sellotape down here or reinforced tape on the bottom of the model just to keep it clean and also to help it grease in on those landings. And I wonder if I can, yeah, break that sticker just to hold those wings on to stop those falling off. And with that said, BT says, can you do iNav without GPS just for flight station stabilization? Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can just use it for flight stabilization. You would need to disable the warning or the minimum satellite count, which is a defaults to 6. And of course, if you don't have a GPS connected, it won't let you arm. And you want to need to set that to 0. I am guessing. I've not tried it myself, but I would assume that you would still get flight stabilized modes as part of that. Obviously, you wouldn't have any return to home or any directional indicator on your on-screen display. And also note, I have used iNav in models but not connected up to flight stabilization just for the on-screen abilities because it's very easy to configure. Okay, so yeah, good question, and the answer is yes, you can. And then remember, you don't actually need to connect them up, go as far as even connecting the servos up to the board if you just want the on-screen display. So yeah, good question on that one. Let's have a look. BT says short range basher, keep the weight down. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the basic premise for this one. It's for flying really fast, line of sight, having some fun, just rolling the living daylights out of it. Sticking 4S once you've got your confidence up from 3S. And beyond that, I think it's going to be a corking little FPV. There's no holes at the bottom to pick up poo and things like that. And coming back to the topic of price, it's 45 quid-ish. That's pound sterling on the Banggood website. If you go onto the Hobby King website, the nearest comparable model would be the Bonsai, which is a very good model, not so good anymore in the version 2 which they've created. But for like, the Bonsai is 56 quid, this one's 45 quid. This one is definitely been specifically designed for FPV. You can tell that just by looking at this one compared to, say, a Bonsai. So I'll let you make your own decision on that one. And on that note, I think it's going to be pretty stiff once we've glued these wings on. It's with that spar at the back, it's only flexing around the wings while I'm pushing it around. So I think it will be pretty stiff once we have glued the wings on. Some of you could do detachable wings like we mentioned right back at the very beginning. But to remember, it's that big. It's the size of my hand on the fuselage. It's tiny. You could chuck that on the back seat or in the boot and nobody would notice. So yeah, so far, thumbs up. But remember, we always hold a final judgment on these models until we get them out in the sky. And I need to give you a quick heads up. It is supposed to be an awful weekend here in Bristolia. We've got rain followed by rain, and that takes us into next week. Good news, next week looks like we've got some good weather. So I'll most likely get this one out on Monday or Tuesday. That's assuming we don't get a quick break in the weather here. And if I do get a break in the weather here, I will grab the hat cam and run off to a local field and just chuck it around to see how it flies like, because it's going to take me, the whole of 20 minutes all in to get this thing built. We've got some sanding and some gluing in there. I may take longer because, like I said, I may want to put the receiver in the wings and the FPV transmitter out on the other side. Or I just might say screw it and just stuff it all in the middle. I might actually just do that to save myself time. Of course, I could do it later if I wanted to. In fact, I will. I'm just going to stuff it all in the middle. A bit of glue on the wings there, a bit of glue on the ends, stick the camera in, which I've already got set up. One of them set up over a little wiring loom, which will be absolutely good for this one. So I'll have to make a quick wiring loom. Actually, it will probably take me longer to make the wiring loom for the FPV camera and video transmitter than it will take me to make the actual model itself. So there we go. Mini AR Wing. Completely didn't expect them to come out with a mini version. So thumbs up for Sonicmodell. Because, yeah, why not? Why would you not want to make a mini version? If the bigger version works, well, heck, make a mini version. It's going to be bonkers. It's going to be right up my street. On a serious point, those of you which are looking for a first RC model, butterfly wing, this is not a good choice for you. It's small, it's going to be skitty, it's the completely wrong choice for you. You want something like a Tech Sumo instead. Those of you which are more experienced pilots, especially FPV pilots, you're going to go nuts for this thing because it is going to get thrown all over the sky with the lightest bit of breeze in the background. And with a 2,400 kV motor on the back, it's going to fly like something gone crack. Let's not go there on that one, but you kind of get the analogy. Right. So it won't be going too far with it anyway. The Z84 can carry heavier batteries for a small distance plane. Totally agree with you on that, BT, on there. I'm off to Whitby. Bet it's blowing. I bet it is. We're blowing over in Whitby, to say the least. Right, it is time for me to wrap up. Oh, there is one little note. No, you've seen on the chat on there. If I've been and missed something, you can either ask in the comments section underneath this video or nip across to the Facebook group. There's a link to the Rag the Nuts of Facebook group down in the video description. You will be joined by literally over 2,800 cool pilots like me and you in there, and there are other people who have already had theirs received today too. I know there's a couple of you like Callum, for example, which your models are turning up tomorrow, and you can ask not only my opinion but also other pilots' opinions on this model over in the Facebook group. Okay, And on that note, keep in the back of your mind, remember that model was bought out of my own money for my own abuses, and we hold off final judgment until we get her out and give her some beans. I have included a link to this model down in the video description just down here. If you use that link, that is an affiliate link, and it will help support this channel over at Banggood. So on that note, it is time for me to wrap up. There's nothing much more for me to say other to say a big thank you to you for taking the time to watch this video. Remember, it wasn't recorded live, and we've left every single screw up in as we've gone through. And if you are new here, my name's Matt. Howdy, welcome aboard. Don't forget to press the red subscribe button underneath this video, and also remember to hit the bell icon so that YouTube notifies you when the next video is out, which could quite well be, and it probably is going to be most likely, the maiden of the AR Mini Wing. So on that note, for myself, Matt, have a great evening. Cheerios!